This is a review of the topics we have covered this week. We have completing the square, quadratic inequalities, quadratic sequences, and quadratic simultaneous equations. So lots of quadratics. Completing the square. Completing the square is a way of rewriting a quadratic. So a quadratic is something in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So we're going to rewrite a quadratic in a different form, which makes it easy to find the turning point of a graph, or we could also use it to solve the quadratic. So here we've got x squared minus 6x plus 10, and we're going to rewrite it in this form. The first step is to half our b number. So we've got minus 6 or negative 6 at the moment. We half that, which is negative 3. So it's going to be x minus 3 squared. That's going to be our bracket. And if we expanded this, we'd get x squared minus 6x, which is what we want. But we'd also get a plus 9, which we don't want. So we're going to take it away. We always take away this number squared. And we've still got a plus 10 on the end. To simplify this, we can just say negative 9 plus 10 is 1. So that's our answer, x minus 3 squared plus 1. Part B says write down the turning point of the graph. So it's the same quadratic in part B. So y is equal to x minus 3 squared plus 1. The smallest thing we can get, so the smallest thing that y can equal, the smallest answer we can get is when x equals 3, when the bracket equals 0. So we say, what makes the bracket equal to 0? That's when x is 3. So the minimum point will be when x is 3. And then if the bracket was 0, what do we have? We have y equals 1. So x is 3 and y is 1. So if we're writing that as coordinates, it's 3, 1. And one for you to try. So give it a go. So we've got x squared plus 4x minus 9. We're going to half the b number. So it'd be x plus 2 squared in the bracket. Now we're going to take away 2 squared, which is 4. And we've got a minus 9 on the end as well. So we've got x plus 2 squared minus 13. What's the turning point? What's the minimum point of this graph? So it's y equals x plus 2 squared minus 13. The x value, we're looking for the x value that makes the bracket 0, which is going to be minus 2. And then if x is minus 2, what is y? Y is minus 13. So as coordinates, it's negative 2, negative 13. Quadratic inequalities. The question here says solve x squared plus 7x minus 18 is less than 0. So we need to find the values of x, or the range of values for x, that makes x squared plus 7x minus 18 less than 0. If we think of this as a graph, so we've got a quadratic graph, it looks something like this, roughly, and we want to know where it's less than 0, it's equal to 0, where it crosses the x-axis, and it's less than 0 when it's underneath the x-axis. So we're going to find these two x points here. We'll find where it crosses the x-axis, and the answer will be the values in between them. So that'd be where it's less than 0. So we'll solve it like we would usually solve a quadratic to find the 2 points where it's equal to 0. And we can do that by factorizing. The easiest way to solve a quadratic is to factorize it. So we can say what multiplies to make 18 and adds to make 7. So that can be a 9 and a 2. We'll have a positive 9 and a negative 2. So the 2 points where it's equal to 0, so it's going to cross the x-axis. What makes the first bracket 0? That's negative 9. And what makes the second bracket 0? That's 2. So it crosses the x-axis at negative 9 and 2. And it's beneath the x-axis, in between them, in between negative 9 and 2. So all the x values in between negative 9 and 2 will make this less than 0. So our answer is that x is bigger than negative 9 and less than 2. It's in between negative 9 and 2. So anything in between negative 9 and 2 will make this x squared plus 7x minus 18 less than 0. Okay, one for you to try. So give it a go. So it's a similar question. Again, if you think of it as a graph, again, we've got a quadratic graph. And this time we want to know where it's bigger or equal to 0. So again, it's equal to 0 where it crosses the x-axis, and it's bigger than 0 above the x-axis. So we're looking for these 2 parts here. So we're going to find these values that it's equal to 0 at, and it'll be less than this one or more than this one that will make it bigger than 0. So let's solve it. So we solve it like we would usually solve a quadratic. We can factorize this. So if you can't factorize it, we could use a quadratic formula, but this will factorize. So we're going to have 2x in one bracket and x in the other. 2x times x makes 2x squared. And if we do a times c, 2 21s are 42. So we've multiplied the 21 by 2. So we want to divide one of the numbers we find by 2 to cancel that out. What multiplies to make 42 and adds to make 1? That is 6 times 7. We're going to have plus 7 and minus 6. So it's 2x plus 7 and x minus 3. So it crosses the x-axis at the values that make these brackets 0. So it crosses x at what makes the first bracket 0? That's going to be negative 7 over 2. And what makes the second bracket 0? X equals 3. So we've got minus 3.5 and 3 as the 2 points where it's equal to 0. So it's greater than 0. And it can equal as well. So it's going to be x is less than or equal to negative 7 over 2. Or x is bigger than or equal to 3. So all the x values to the left of negative 7 over 2 and all the x values to the right of 3 are going to make 2x squared plus x minus 21 bigger than 0. And it can also equal minus 7 over 2 and 3 because because we've got an or equal sign. Quadratic sequences. So a quadratic sequence is in the form an squared plus bn plus c. And if we generate a sequence, so let's generate the first three terms using an squared plus bn plus c. So the first term is when n is 1. When n is 1, we've got 1a, 1b, and c. When n is 2, 2 squared is 4, so we've got 4a, 2 times b is 2b, and we've got c. And when n is 3, 3 squared is 9, so 9a, 3 times b is 3b, and we've got a c. So the difference between the first two terms is 4a take away 1a is 3a, 2b take away b is b, and c take away c is nothing. The difference between term 2 and 3 is 5a plus b. And the second difference, the difference between the two differences, is 2a. So for any quadratic sequence, we can say the first term is a plus b plus c. The difference between the first two terms is 3a plus b, and the second difference is 2a. And we're going to use this to find the nth term. So let's work out the differences. From 2 to negative 3 is down 5. From negative 3 to negative 14 is down 11. And we don't need to do any more. The second difference, negative 5 to negative 11, is down 6. So we've got all we need to know. For any quadratic sequence, the second difference is 2a. The difference between the first two terms is 3a plus a b. And the first term is a plus b plus c. So let's form equations and solve them to find a, b, and c. So 2a is equal to negative 6. So half both sides. A is negative 3. We've got 3a plus b is equal to negative 5. And a is negative 3. 3 negative 3's plus b is negative 5. So negative 9 plus b is negative 5. Plus 9 to both sides. B is 4. And a plus b plus c is 2. So negative 3 plus 4 plus c is 2. Negative 3 plus 4 is 1, so 1 plus c is 2. So take 1 away from both sides. C is 1. So we've got negative 3n squared plus 4n plus 1. Remember, it was an squared plus bn plus c. So if you substituted 1 in for n in this nth term, you would get 2. If you substituted 2 in, you get negative 3, and so on. Okay, one for you to try. So give this one a go. So let's work out the differences. Negative 2 to 5 is 7. 5 to 16 is 11. 16 to 31 is 15. The second differences are 4. So for any quadratic nth term, the second difference is 2a. the difference between the first two terms is 3a plus b, and the first term is a plus b plus c. So let's form and solve. 2a is equal to 4, half both sides, a is 2. 3a plus b is equal to 7, so 3 2's, a is 2, plus b is equal to 7. 6 plus b is 7, b must be 1. And a plus b plus c is equal to negative 2. 2 plus 1 plus c is negative 2. So 3 plus c is negative 2. Take 3 away from both sides. C is negative 5. So it's in the form an squared plus bn plus c. So it's 2n squared plus 1n minus 5. And quadratic simultaneous equations. So we've got simultaneous equations. So we've got two equations with two things we need to work out. We're going to solve these by substitution. So in our second equation, we need to either make y the subject or x the subject. And we can make y the subject by taking 5 away from both sides. So y is equal to 4x minus 5. Now we can substitute that in. So y is equal to 4x minus 5. So we can change y in the first equation, in our quadratic, into 4x minus 5. So 4x minus 5 is equal to 2x squared minus 3x plus 1. We've got a quadratic. We've got rid of y. We just need to solve and find out what x can be now. And to solve a quadratic, we make it equal to 0. So let's take 4x away from both sides. And add 5 to both sides. So it will be equal to 0. And we're going to solve this by factorizing. So we're going to have 2x in one bracket, x in the other bracket. We'll do a times c, 2 6s are 12. And because we've multiplied by 2, we're multiplying by 2, we need to divide by 2 to cancel that out. So what multiplies to make 12 and adds to make a negative 7? Negative 3 and negative 4. So it's 2x minus 3 and x minus 2. So what can x be? What makes the first bracket 0? That's 3 over 2, or 1.5. And what makes the second bracket 0? That is 2. So there are two possible values for x, and y is equal to 4x minus 5. So y is 4 times 3 over 2 minus 5, or y is 4 times 2 minus 5. So 4 times 3 over 2, 4 times 1.5 is 6. Take away 1 is 1. And 4 times 2 is 8. Take away 5 is 3. So what are our answers? So either x is 1.5 or 3 over 2, and y is 1, or x is 2 and y is 3. And another question, this time it says give your answers to 2 decimal places. So that means we're going to be using the quadratic formula to solve it. So let's make our linear equation, the second one here, either x equals or y equals. So if we plus 3x to both sides, and then divide by 2, we make y the subject. So now we've got y is equal to 5 plus 3x over 2. So we can substitute that in for y in our top equation, which is a circle. So we'll have x squared plus 5 plus 3x over 2 squared is equal to 9. Squared means multiplied by itself, so we can write this as double brackets. So we'll have x squared plus, and then 5 plus 3x over 2 times 5 plus 3x over 2 equals 9. Let's expand the brackets, and we can treat this like fractions. So we can times the top and times the bottom. So the bottom is 2 times 2, which is 4. And then we'll expand the top like double brackets. So 5 5s are 25. 5 times 3x is 15x. 3x times 5 is 15x. And 3x times 3x is 9x squared. So we can get rid of this fraction. We've got over 4 divided by 4 at the moment by multiplying every term by 4. So if we times everything in the equation by 4, we'll have 4x squared. Timesing by 4 will get rid of the divide by 4 from this fraction. So we'll have 25 plus 30x plus 9x squared. And 9 4s are 36. Let's collect our like terms. 4x squareds and 9x squareds make 13x squareds. We've got 30x plus 25 equals 36. And it's a quadratic, so we need it equal to 0. So we'll take 36 away from both sides, which will give us 13x squared plus 30x minus 11 equals 0. And we're using the quadratic formula. So x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And a is 13. B is 30 and C is negative 11. So we've got x equals minus 30 plus or minus the square root of 30 squared minus 4 times 13 times negative 11 all over 2 13s. And we'll type it into the calculator. So once with a plus, once with a minus, and we will get our two x values. So we have, to two decimal places, 0.32. And I'll save that in the calculator. And I'm going to change the plus to a minus and get the second answer, which is negative 2.63. And we need to find our y values. To find them, it's going to be 5 plus 3x over 2. So y is going to be 5 plus 3, 0.32s over 2, and y will be 5 plus 3 negative 2.63s over 2. So I'll do the second one first, because it's in the calculator at the moment. 5 plus 3 times the answer over 2, and that's negative 1.44. And if I change answer to my saved value, my 0.32, I get 2.98. So we have x is 0.32 and y is 2.98, or x is negative 2.63 and y is negative 1.44. So that was our week 8 review. The assessment is available now, so it's in the description on YouTube or at the bottom of the page on the website.